with one of the biggest names in sports media, Pat McAfee, stunning NXT's Adam Cole. Too many A's over on AEW, a monster main event with Jon Moxley taking on Darby Allin. And it looks like we know what we're going to get at All Out. There's a whole lot to talk about. It's Wednesday night, the biggest night for hardcore wrestling fans every single week. And this is your WrestleZone post-show. Man, I sounded good there. I should have been a singer. What's going on, everybody? I am Kevin Kellum, and joining me as always is the fun killer down in Florida, the one, the only Mr. Robert DeFelice. How are you doing, Robert?
Kevin, I was doing perfectly fine before you sullied my name and called me fun killer. I haven't even done anything to you. We haven't spoken. I haven't done the show. Like, I come on here and you're just like, oh, you're a fun killer. Wow, Kevin. Wow. Well, how much funny that when you don't have anything else available for the show, Kevin? God.
You took a couple days off. I got to get my licks in, okay? I got to get my stuff in here. I haven't seen you in, nearly a week? Nearly a week. If you're with us for the first time, go ahead and get your comments on scene here. We have Richie joining us. We have Herman. We have Bit. A couple of familiar faces. If you're watching for the first time, you can get your comments right down there. If you're with us on YouTube or Facebook, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe. On Facebook, you need to like and follow our page so you get notifications when we go live. And on YouTube, you got to like the page as well. A lot of people enjoying the show here. Gabriel texting in said he loved AEW. He thought it was a better show. Well, Gabriel, did you watch both shows? I love when people say one of the shows is better when you can't confirm whether or not they watch both, right? We're still in that silly game.
Right.
And we will talk about within tonight's show about how there will be a few weeks where AEW and NXT will not be going head to head. We'll be talking about how that
kind of. One of them is going to go up against the pay-per-view because, of course.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll get into all of it on this show. We'll talk about the shocking ending that was on NXT, the big matches that were made, the in-ring debut of formerly known as Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona over in AEW. A lot to talk about, and some creepy things going on outside of the ring. Legitimately creepy things. Also, if you're with us on this side and you're like, oh, I can't watch the whole show, I can't enjoy all of it, I can't, I don't want my screen open, blah, blah, blah. My attention is too short-spanned. Well, guess what? We have the podcast for you. Go ahead and subscribe to WrestleZone, available on Apple. It is also on iTunes. It's on iHeartRadio. It is on all the different podcast apps, Spotify. We just dropped a great interview with one of the most legendary performers in all of professional wrestling. Terry Funk spoke to our very own Dominic D'Angelo for over an hour, and you can listen or read that right now at WrestleZone.com, also available in the podcast feed. All right, so you can be a real egg-sucking dog, as Terry Funk would say, if you don't want to do that. So let's get right into AEW. We start off just with them, just because of the alphabet. Or we start with the A's, and we jump over to the N and the X and the T's. Tell me about AEW tonight.
AEW tonight was quite heavy on the action and quite heavy on the stars. We kicked off the show literally with 12 men in the ring. We had the Elite and FTR versus the Dark Order. Early on in the match, Dax Harwood gets hurt. He ends up being assisted out by Cash Wheeler and Adam Page. So Adam Page is just gone for like the first, I would say, chunk of the match. And Page eventually comes back. FTR never do. He cleans house. He messes up the Dark Order all by himself. Then he trades strikes with Brody. The Elite eventually do kick into high gear. Super kick party all around. They look like they're about to hit Brody with the last call, which is the buckshot V-trigger. Dark Order swarms everybody. Brody's left in the ring with Adam Hangman Page alone, and he gets a discus lariat. He, being Adam Page, gets a discus lariat. 1, 2, 3. Dark Order gets a huge, much-needed win to open up Dynamite.
I want to talk to you about this. I saw a tweet here. Now, obviously, I watch NXT, and I usually get to consume AEW later on in the night after we do the show, because instantaneously, got to get everything out there as quickly as I can. And you watch AEW, and I want to get your take on this. I saw this tweet, and I'm not being a poo-poo man who's just coming down in a match, but I want to get your take on this. I saw this pop up following the hashtag AEW Dynamite. And this is from I Am Nathan Lee. He's a really cool photo of one of my favorite photos of Johnny Cash flipping the bird. Speaking of flipping the bird, Darby Allin flipping the bird, throwing middle fingers up in the air, attitude. I saw this tweet from I Am Nathan Lee, and he said, even my wife, who's not a big wrestling fan, usually has her nose in a book while I'm watching. Says, I know they're trying to feature as many guys as they can, but these huge tag matches with everybody in them don't make any sense at all. Did you get that? Did you get that feeling this week? From what I saw, it looked like it was pretty exciting. Last week, a lot of fans critical of AEW for doing the big multi-man tag match, feeling like it's just too much at once.
It is. However, it's their style. I've accepted it. I'm throwing down that cross. It is not mine to bear. And if that's the way they want to do tag matches, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's no structure. Yeah, it's just whatever the hell they want to do. But at the end of the day, they run the company. So whatever, do what you want to do.
So it didn't reverse you either way. Tell me about some other big things tonight on AEW.
Eric Bischoff was on the show. Eric Bischoff.
We knew about this for at least a week in advance. So I think this has been out there.
I don't feel bad saying this. Yes, we ran this story on WrestleZone, and yeah, it was some other places as well. But like when it comes from Reddit, I don't believe it until I see it. But to see Eric Bischoff walk back out onto TNT wrestling television, it just immediately it hits you here. Like it hits you in the very pit of your wrestling loving soul. Tony Schiavone on the call, Eric Bischoff back on TNT. There was a great debate. It was Super Wednesday. And it was Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy because, they're going to fight next week. I believe the stipulation being if Cassidy loses, he has to pay $7,000 for Chris Jericho's fancy jacket, which has orange juice all over it. So first question goes by. Cassidy says nothing because he's Cassidy. Jericho is just like, I hate you, and you're a dork, and if we were in high school, I would have chased you down and beaten you in front of your locker and, given you a wedgie, and you're a dork, and by the way, I would have stole your girl, too. So first two questions, nothing. Eric Bischoff asks about global warming, and Cassidy just gives this highly intellectual answer, and it stuns everybody. Jericho has nothing to say about it because global warming has nothing to do with wrestling. Why are we talking about global warming? And the last question was, why does this match matter to you? Jericho goes to talk, and Cassidy cuts him off. And for the first time, to my knowledge, on AEW television, Orange Cassidy cuts a real promo saying, Chris, shut up. I'm going to tell you why I need this match. It's the biggest match of my career, and it's the biggest match of yours. He takes off the glasses. I want you to look into my eyes because you need to look at the eyes of the man who's going to embarrass you next week and the man who's, going to beat you. And what happens then when you lose to the guy who puts his hands in his pockets? Jericho beats him up because he's Jericho, and we're off on the road to next week. But not before Eric Bischoff says he awarded the debate to Orange Cassidy, to which Jericho said, there's no winners in debates, Bischoff. I never liked you. I haven't liked you for 22 years. And Bischoff said, Chris, it's been 24, and I know exactly how you feel. Good.
So easy. You got his stuff in there. If you're joining us on YouTube or if you're joining us on Facebook, go check out my interview from last year with Eric Bischoff. We went. This is pre him being in WWE, and so you definitely get a take on his sense of wrestling. Also, he talked about what he thought AEW should do and how he thinks they really need to get on a streaming platform, kind of separate from cable TV. How did you think?
Like you said, that was an interview last year before he went to WWE. In the time since he's been to WWE, and I can tell you to keep an eye on the WrestleZone podcast feeds because maybe you'll be hearing an updated take on what Eric Bischoff has to say about the state of professional wrestling.
We can neither confirm nor deny. So I wanted to tell you that we have something. We're working on something there. All right. So definitely check that out. So what did you think of Bischoff in this segment? Obviously, he was the big X factor. You're going to get something very chaotic with Jericho and Cassidy. They're keeping this going, leaning into the comedy, certainly. What did you think of the segment overall? They definitely did some things with Cassidy for him to speak that long. That does, some people say you got to protect that character by having him not do a whole lot. So you have to have all this different noise around him, right? What did you think there?
It was good shit. It got me like, okay, cool. We're going to show an Orange Cassidy that's motivated.
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing wrestlers be wrestlers. Sorry, guys. I know the gimmick is fun, but I like seeing wrestlers be wrestlers. Also on the show, as we see in our comments here from Gabriel Pérez on YouTube, Matt Hardy got destroyed by Sammy Guevara. Matt Hardy
He got bloodied here. I saw pictures of this. This looks brutal.
Matt cut a promo. He's like, I wanted to bring the multiverse to AEW, and that was fun for a while, but now I just want to be me. And, in front of the camera, I want to get back. Behind the camera, I want to get back. Sammy Guevara comes out. They brawl. Hardy sets up a table. Guevara puts Hardy on the table, throws a chair at him, and one of the legs catches him, and blood everywhere. I mean,
that's not a show cut. That's a hard way.
That was not a show cut. There's a great video on Matt Hardy's YouTube showing the aftermath. I liked it. I think this is a fine feud. Good for All Out. I think they should wrestle in some kind of like a Full Metal Mayhem or whatever kind of variant you want to call tables, ladders, and chairs in this promotion. I wouldn't mind that match at All Out. Also, we had Best Friends defeat Proud and Powerful. And in response, Proud and Powerful messed up Chuck Taylor's mom's minivan.
Mm-hmm.
And Chuck said,
"You don't come from a mom's van. You don't come from your mom. You do not come from a mom's van."
I said it was Chuck's van. It's Trent's mom's van. But Chuck was like, now I have to apologize to Sue because I told Sue that I would protect her van. It's very cheeky, but also like, I'm not mad at it. They're doing multiple tag team feuds. I'm good with it. One thing we do have to talk about on the criticism side, as
I was going to bring this up. I was going to tease this, but I guess you want to get right into it here. You caught this, and it seems significant. I'm seeing a couple of different posts and stuff about this. Both shows on Wednesday night really listen to the internet. They're really driven by the internet. I think the internet is a little bit more impactful in this day and age because we don't have fans at shows. So I think the volume of those audiences tends to be a little bit louder. And also a lot of wrestling is driven by hardcore fans now. There is a growing contingency of female wrestling fans who don't want just representation. They demand it. And so what do we have here? AEW, a brand that really loves to say how much they are in terms of progressive with social issues and representation and diversity, but they got critiqued pretty hard tonight.
They really did. The fact of the matter is AEW has been getting critiqued pretty hard in general for their usage of their women's roster. Tonight, there was only 3 minutes and 51 seconds of women's interaction on the show. Mm-hmm. That was Big Swole defeating Rebel from TNA, who's kind of like Britt Baker's handler. And it was fine for what it was. I like Britt Baker a lot. People were pissed off. Now, here's the deal. You've got this Deadly Draw Tag Team Tournament on Monday nights. And now, they didn't acknowledge this at all on the show. That's one thing that's got a lot of people pissed off. No acknowledgement of the Tag Team Tournament. No women's wrestling outside of the one match that took 3 minutes. And people are pissed. I'm kind of two minds with this. I understand it's a pandemic. AEW bet the farm on foreign talent as it relates to their women. The Joshi relationships with Stardom, the Bea Priestley, Sadie Gibbs, so many names. But you also made the mistake of putting your foot in your mouth. And you promised this progressive scene. And even before the pandemic, it's safe to say people weren't overly thrilled with the women. So now that they are stripped bare, and you only have Sheeta, Swole, Nyla, and Britt Baker for the most part, because Statlander's hurt, even Baker's kind of hurt, people are pissed. They want more from your women. I would counter this and say, give them a chance. Let them, flesh out what they have going on. Because they also have that AEW Heels, that community for women. There was a bit of scuttlebutt about a new paywall for that. Just a lot of criticisms that I can't strongly speak on as, you and I, we are not women.
We're just dudes. We're just dudes.
We're just dudes.
But I mean, we have female fans of the show that listen to the show. We have female fans at Two Men. So and we just want to say, hey, we hear this being heard, and we want to recognize it. It is something where you definitely write yourself into a corner there, and you say those things. But I think it's really hard to pivot a lot of your roster unless you have them down there with you in Florida. And I'm not saying that AEW can't get people down there. Clearly, they've been able to get independent talent down there and do stuff. But now you're talking about independent talent that are coming on completely green to television, if you want to do that. They brought in Abaddon, all right? They brought in her recently. And they're doing this Women's Deadly Draw Tag Team Tournament, which debuted earlier this week. I saw it. It wasn't bad, but it definitely was far from great. And it like the matches were fine, but if it's the first in a series of things here, I'm gonna go grab some food here in the other room. But 1 second, hang on, delivery guy, I'm gonna be right with you. I'm gonna say this: the Deadly Draw Tournament, slightly underwhelming. I got a burger to go pick up. What did I deliver? What did I get delivered in the other room? I'm gonna find out. Robert, go ahead.
Now I'm gonna just take over here while Kevin goes ahead and gets his burger, because the Wednesday night wrestling action.
I put a mask on for the delivery guy. You guys got to remember to do that.
Kevin's being so great at putting his mask on. Here's the thing. I get it. I get the frustration. I know we all want women's wrestling to just shine in every way possible. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because of the pandemic. But once COVID is clear, if it's in the relatively near future, I want to see AEW's women's division thrive. I see a comment here from Stephen Chambers saying, why not get Thunder Rosa and Kamile and Allison Kay and Melina, some of the women that were in the NWA. NWA is still going strong. They're still holding out hope that they're going to be a thing. My thing is, maybe don't hire... I don't want to say don't hire an Eddie Kingston, but maybe focus some of your next hires on American women wrestlers. I would say, Ariane Andrew, she's not the greatest technically sound. She's not the female Dean Malenko, you know what I'm saying? But she is a name, and she does do tremendous numbers, and she can learn the craft. You give anybody a star, they can learn the craft.
Okay. Oh, my face mask is still on. Sorry. How'd you hold up when I wasn't here, Robert?
I held up just fine. We're talking about AEW's women and how I said, I don't want to say don't hire an Eddie Kingston, because I like Eddie Kingston, but maybe hire an Ariane Andrew. Maybe hire, Veda Scott, and don't just use her as a color commentator, which she's did tremendous on Monday, but maybe hire Veda Scott, the wrestler. Maybe get Leva Bates in the ring, and I know she's doing a librarian gimmick, but maybe get her a little more serious in the ring. I would scour.
How played out is that librarian thing, man? That's like one of those things that's like, how come no one's pulling the trigger on this thing and saying, let's do something else?
Now they've added Brandon Cutler, and now they're the Initiative on Dark. They're doing that.
Big comment here. Big faithful fan of the show. You know his name. I know his name. James Espanto Fernando Taguay says Impact is doing more with their women's talent than AEW at this time. I did more with my introduction to James Espanto there than I've done in the past. And I will say that is one of my best James Espanto Fernando Taguays of all time. A tip of my own invisible cap. But James, you make a great point there. Impact doing quite a bit with their women's division right now at the moment.
I would go as far to say that Impact Wrestling is the greatest. Like, they're doing the most with their women. And I know qualms saying that. I will say Raw this week. 12 women, 12 contracted women used across the board.
And they haven't put them in the underground yet. And they haven't put them in that underground feature yet. They're going to do that at some point.
At some point, yes. But back to AEW. This is a huge problem. Because I'm sorry. Tyler said this best. Tyler Tree said, and he's not the managing editor, but he's the senior editor. Tyler put this great. He said, they shot themselves in the foot when they kept coming out as a progressive company. You're holding yourself to such a high standard. You need to be able to live up to your own expectations. And right now, I don't think it's a stretch to say AEW is not doing that with their women. But I still have faith that when the pandemic is done, they will really shine a spotlight on their women.
Yeah, there's so many things in wrestling in terms of, like, we've talked about this for a while. Maybe this big match they're holding off until fans can come back. Maybe they're holding off on this. But it's such a fluid situation. I say just do the big matches now. You know what I mean? When you talk about, maybe they're going to do that or hold off on that, I hear that too. And it's not a cop-out, but it's just the circumstances. Other big things tonight on AEW. Tell me about this big main event. I heard a lot about this. Show you a picture from this. I love this. I saw this floating around the internet. Darby Allin in the big old headlock, flipping the bird at Moxley in his main event challenge for the AEW Championship. They do have replica toy belts. I saw many people posting their pictures of that now that are out. What did you think of this main event here with Darby Allin and Jon Moxley?
Really, really fun. So the story going into this one was Jon Moxley likes Darby Allin. He sees himself in Darby Allin, and he wants Darby Allin to take care of his own health, even though he knows that Darby won't, because Darby's just a kid, and he's like John was at that age, and he's going to do anything he can to make his name known and his presence felt.
He's going to do all the skateboarding tricks, man. You can't be out there skateboarding if you're a professional wrestler. You're taking too many risks.
That's right.
I've taken those risks. I've learned from the road.
But John and Darby had a great match. Darby, for an undersized guy, that's not a dig. It is what it is. Darby is like the most fun person in AEW. He is so the alternative market that they want to corner. That
I'm surprised how long they kept him off TV. I know he was dealing with some injuries and different things like that, and it was super sporadic, and they would film vignettes, but he is one of those guys that's on a short list of completely not homegrown, but like one of their absolute own guys. There's no WWE tag on him. There's no coming from another place. Like, he came up from the indies with the whole movement of what AEW is supposed to be, and I'm surprised they haven't featured him more. And obviously he hung in there with Moxley tonight. Did you get the sense that he'll be chasing this title again down the line?
Oh yeah, he will be world champion within a couple of years. But the man going to a world championship now is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and he tried. I did enjoy this. He tried to get Darby Allin to win the belt because Darby Allin is undersized. He knows he can have an easier time with Darby than he would with John. He hit John with the AEW World title. That's your second blood sighting of the night. And Darby did everything he could, but at the end of the day, Moxley, paradigm shift, 1, 2, 3. Moxley is going to All Out to face MJF. Darby Allin is going to go lick his wounds. I'm sure he's going to end up in some kind of match with Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, or one or the other.
So tell me about everything else that was kind of set up here. We are a few weeks, just about a month away now from AEW All Out. What other matches and elements do you think are coming together for that big card? It is going to be on pay-per-view. They have confirmed that. It won't be another Fyter Fest or another, free for TV type thing here. What do you think they're laying out for this show?
Britt Baker, Big Swole, Hikaru Shida, AEW Women's World Championship. I think that's the best way to go. I think that is how you can get your women utilized. Cody Rhodes, the only thing I don't like about the TNT Championship is Cody Rhodes is not building long-term rivalries. He's just fighting Challenger of the Week, and we'll get to what he did in a little bit. But
it makes for good TV. I mean, it makes an exciting TV show, and the TV thing is the main. It's an inverted thing. The TV is the biggest thing they have right now, and they should focus on that. I understand the logic in trying to do the Challenger of the Week concept.
I like it too, but I think it's hurting. He's got to get to a place where we can start building to the pay-per-views with this thing. It can't just be the open challenge belt.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be your mid-card belt too. I see something with the Bucks and Kenny, or just the Bucks going against the Dark Order. I think that'll be a huge thing. You know, specifically the Brody Lee, Colt Cabana version of the Dark Order. I think tag team titles, FTR, Kenny, and Hangman. I think that would be a great match. And you're building towards that inevitable FTR Young Bucks, but we're not doing it if it's not for the belts, and we're not doing it if it's not in front of people. And you know what? I'm damn fine with that. That's one worth waiting for. Also, Matt Cardona and Cody Rhodes were successful against the other members of the Dark Order, John Silver and Alex Reynolds. Matt Cardona very much played the hits. I got a text message from a friend who just said, can we add a little bit more to his arsenal? Like, I want to see something new, and I get it. But maybe that comes with time. He's not fully signed. He's on a per appearance deal, but maybe we can see him.
And that is something he confirmed as well, that he is on a per appearance deal. He's not locked down completely to them.
That's right. And, maybe we'll see more from him soon. I want him to get a shot at Cody's TNT title, but not before Scorpio Sky, who cut a phenomenal promo on Dark about being tired of waiting and kicking the door into opportunity because he deserves championships. I want Scorpio to beat Cody. There's a large part of me that says, F it, do it live, call an audible, and just put Scorpio Sky over Cody Rhodes. The people are clamoring for it. I think it's a good time. Cody can pivot to whatever the hell he wants to do. Just go with Scorpio Sky next week.
So what do you give AEW overall this week? We're a couple weeks out. We know in a few weeks they're going to start getting preempted by NBA, so I think they need to leave fans with a lot of hanging moments, things that can be fulfilled even when they have to move to a different night. What did you think? The 1 to 10 bang on AEW.
I give it an 8. I thought it was a phenomenal show. There was a strong, solid show. Yes, they're not doing a lot with their women, but you know what they are doing? You got the deadly draw. Take that for what it is now. That.
Be happy with this thing. I don't think you can say that to any wrestling fan. You say that to any wrestling fan under the age of 30, they just want to destroy your company. If you tell them to be happy and complacent with something, they're just going to want to run their head.
The ones that are over 30 might be worse on that regard. Give them some breathing room. Let them, make themselves right, because they're losing sleep over it because they hear the criticism and they hear it loud, and I'm sure they will be doing their best with their women very soon. But I really enjoyed it.
Some fans texting in here. They're giving the show an 8.5. I'm seeing a couple of those. Herman texting in saying Cody won't lose that belt until fans show up. They'll save it for that show. John Kirby texting in saying he gives NXT a 6.5, gives AEW a 3.0. All right, so if you're watching on demand, if you're listening on demand, go ahead and give us your rating. Hit us up. If you're listening to the show, tweet at us at WrestleZone.com, especially if you're listening to us in Cambodia. One of the biggest wrestling markets in the world, because we cracked the top 50 on the Apple Sports podcast chart. Thank you so much to our Cambodian WrestleZonians who made that possible.
And I also shout out to the damn fine folks in Cyprus.
Cyprus, baby.
Over in Cyprus, and I like Cyprus. But Kevin, you know what else I like more than Cyprus? Just a little bit more. I like NXT. Tell me about.
We got some NXT to get into. I'm a radio guy. As you know, I work for 101 WKQX in Chicago, and I must say, as someone who works under the Cumulus Media banner, I am disappointed in the behavior of Westwood One sports talk radio personality Pat McAfee. Here up on the screen, you can see it right there. Pat McAfee, of course, had the confrontation a few weeks ago that went very, very viral. We had over 75,000 people feeling the impression of those comments online within 15 minutes of us posting the video and following up. And then a few weeks ago, it generated such discussion as, was it real? Was it a work? If it's a work, guess what? It was entertaining. But Pat McAfee I don't know if he was entertaining. He was definitely getting under people's skin. I saw it online. I saw people talking. So much so that Beth Phoenix left commentary during the main event where he was present. Of course, the main event tonight was an NXT tag team title match with Imperium defending the titles against the team of Undisputed Era's Adam Cole's boys, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly. This is Kyle O'Reilly's return to NXT. We've not seen him on television in quite some time. And the nice thing about this is they didn't just do the obvious thing and bring Pat McAfee out for the main event and put him on commentary. They did something very clever. And they had him come out and say, oh, we're getting along again. I'm not into it with any NXT guys. We're all getting along. Here's some cutaway footage of me and Shawn Michaels hamming it up before the show. I'm going to sit in on commentary for this match with Tegan Knox, right? And Tegan Knox is successful in a short match. And Pat McAfee's like, oh, hey, guys, I don't want to be offensive. I'm just enjoying the action at NXT. So happy to be back here again. Oh, wow. She got really rocked in the jaw with that shining wizard. I didn't know wizards cast spells on people's jaws. He was having a fun time. And they built it up. Big tag team main event. Here's the Undisputed Era trying to come back on the scene, doing their big pose down, right? Adam Cole? Robert? Adam Cole?
Baby.
Come on, Robert. I know we're on the internet, but we have a slight delay here. You gotta second me here, pal. All right.
I didn't know we were going full baby.
I know. We always go full baby. We always go full baby.
He didn't have a good night. He took a nap like a baby by the end of the day.
On a Wednesday, we go full baby. Okay? Hey.
I'm glad that we've established that rule. You know who needs some rules established? Pat McAfee. What a grade A asshole. Just I
love that everyone around him, Tom Phillips started to get frustrated. Morrow started to get frustrated. This was a fun segment. I think, Robert, are you still there? Can you still hear me, Robert? Robert, you still there, bud? All right, you're cutting in and out. I don't know if I'm cutting in and out. Can you hear me? I'm going to reboot, guys. If you can hear, you can hear me. All right. Well, Robert, I'm going to reboot on my end. You keep going, okay?
Okay.
All right, Robert, can you hear me, buddy? Waiting to see if you can hear me again. Sorry about the issues, everybody, if you can see this. I was trying to connect here. We got a little service interruption here. I think we got too much action on the Wi-Fi. All right. Hopefully Robert will rejoin me here in just a moment. I was just trying to cover this action here at the end of NXT. It was a wild one. This was absolutely a wild one. Pat McAfee getting into it with almost everyone on NXT. Beth Phoenix leaving commentary. Adam Cole leaving the hockey board divider area around the ring near the end of the match, going back saying, Pat, I can hear everything you're saying. I know that you are insulting me. I know that you're saying these passive-aggressive things. And Pat McAfee is just doing the best. Oh, no. Oh no, I wasn't. What? A lot of this, Robert. He's doing a lot of hands up, like he's a cat who got caught trying to steal something off the counter. This was really well done. let me just say, if you want to bring in a celebrity to do an angle, Pat McAfee may be one of the best guys you can do it with, because I couldn't turn away. I didn't take out my phone and tweet right away about it. I had to wait. I was like, this is going to happen. They're going to get physical. And this was really, really well done. And they got the pull apart, and the match ends with a big European bomb. No big thing here. Fun finisher. You knew they were going to lose when something happened here. And the match was really cooking. I loved Kyle O'Reilly doing a dragon screw to take out one half of Imperium to land on the other one. It was fun, right? But it was all about this angle. This match was all about an angle from the get-go. All right. And this is all about building momentum. And it came down to this confrontation. Triple H, Shawn Michaels are breaking this thing up. It gets real physical. Pat says, all right, I'm going to be cool. I'm going to be cool. And Cole's saying, I can hear you. Do you know I can hear you? And Pat just keeps egging him on. And they break him apart. And he's like, you're always going to be a little bitch. And he scrambles over the table, puts his chin out. Big mistake. You don't put your chin out on an open table, because you may as well just put your head out like a laces out football for an all-pro punter from the NFL who took off Adam Cole's head with a big, big boot. Adam Cole kicked out of the Full Sail University set, saying, I thought everyone here was a professional. What a heel. What a son of a bitch. They didn't do the celebrity angle where the celebrity gets beaten down, right? They did it the other way. They took the twist. They took the curve. I love this. I don't know where it's going, but I'm excited to see what they do next. This is a pretty compelling ending for them to do here.
I like the fact that Adam Cole gets one more TakeOver match. This has to go to TakeOver. And this has to be Pat McAfee, Adam Cole. And I like that Cole's the babyface. And the whole thing started with the, well, you're short, well, you're a punter. So he kind of got the licks in for the punter remark. But Adam Cole will probably stand tall at the end of the day.
How do you think this plays out? I mean, Adam Cole is a guy who has gotten into it with McAfee before. McAfee has never been in a ring and actually done an angle. He did get slightly physical in a couple of different things, but nothing to the point where you think he's going to take a bump, right? Is this building to a match? Are they going to go one-on-one? Do you do a tag team scenario? I think you have enough guys in the Undisputed Era for them to do some type of tag team scenario.
I think you do, but then who teams with McAfee? Is there anybody? Who is he?
I mean, maybe there's a Team McAfee here, you know? I feel there's a Team McAfee in this situation.
I wouldn't mind it, but I think McAfee can get physical.
But like a full-fledged one-on-one match, man? You know, like that would be interesting here.
Adam Cole is Triple H and Shawn Michaels' pet project. If anybody can carry Pat McAfee to a match, it's Adam Cole.
Russel Haddix mentioning this. There is a video on McAfee's YouTube where he bought a ring and took bumps and ran the ropes a couple months ago. Yes, he has mentioned this. That Rip Rogers has trained him for some wrestling. So I expect something. I just don't know if NXT, which is such a work rate driven brand, such a in the ring, bell to bell, you got to be a phenomenal guy, is going to do that. Going to do anything where they would expose someone's weaknesses in the ring as well. McAfee is a real athlete. I think he respects what NXT does and how the high caliber of athlete in that brand. And he's been a big proponent of that. I don't see him do anything that you think would insult the bell to bell, right?
I think they are confident in Cole. I think this all rests on Cole. And I think if Cole can't be the man carrying the strap, he wants to be the man carrying the celebrity to a good match.
Which is a very pivotal role. Not too many people get put in that. You only get put in that if you're a serious guy. You know, Big Show got to do that once or twice back in the day. This one coming in, James Esponto saying, is Pat McAfee the 2020 Mongo Michaels? Well, Mongo did a lot more wrestling than Pat already did, and he got to hold a couple of belts in WCW.
You listen here. Steve Mongo McMichael is one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time. He's one of your Chicago Bears, Kevin.
He's not just a Chicago Bear. He's a Super Bowl champion Chicago Bear.
Was he Super Bowl Shuffle era Chicago Bears?
Yes, dude. What are you talking about? Yes. 85 Bears, dude. We're still talking about it. All right.
I mean, you
Come
can't
on. What? Robert. I'm off mic. Robert. Okay. I thought I was unprofessional getting food during the show and the internet disrupting our signal. But you have reached a new low. Robert.
I'm sorry. I apologize to all fans of the 85
I want to
Bears.
reach through the screen and slap you in the face for sweetness Walter Payton. For the punky QB, Jim McMahon. Come on now. Super Bowl shuffle. All right? Come on now. Samurai Mike?
Here's the deal. I don't know if McAfee is that level of good, but, you know, stranger things have happened.
A lot of people kind of feeling this angle, man. I thought it was quite a way to end the show. I think it's something that NXT needs. I think McAfee isn't a super uber popular guy, but you got to admit, this guy's coast to coast. People know him. Millions of people follow him online. The Wednesday night show is driven by internet-driven audiences. This is the right guy to work with on this. You know, and people like the idea of, is it real? Is it not? He's not a wrestler. Why is he there? Those questions are good. When you're asking those questions, I think it's a really, really good thing here. Other people texting in here. This one, McAfee cheap shot kicked Adam Cole. Looks like McAfee versus Cole, maybe at TakeOver. Yes, they're doing something at TakeOver here in a few weeks. Other people texting in saying it was great. So a lot of like Tony the Tiger people feeling this here. Other big things from NXT I enjoyed was just Keith Lee wrecking Cameron Grimes. Just the biggest power bomb in the business, I think, is a big Keith Lee who looked menacing. You know, we always mention that Keith Lee needs a little edge, right? We saw that last week when he was yelling and saying bullshit, right? He was swearing. Big cool Keith Lee got real mad at Karrion Kross, who took out his buddy, Donovan Dijakovic, right? He's building up to this eventual match at TakeOver, which is not made official yet. And so he takes out Cameron Grimes, who is being a little gnat, run around like him. Cameron Grimes, I tweeted this out, looks like a guy who would steal your money at a carnival. Like he just strikes me as a mean carny who tries to steal money from you. I liked him jaw-jacking this week. But he got power bombed in the ground, only for Karrion Kross to pop up on the Titantron, laying out dudes backstage, including Danny Burch. We'll get Karrion Kross versus Danny Burch. That'll be a hard-hitting affair next week. This builds to Kross versus Keith Lee. What do you think of the build on this match? I was feeling it last week. This week, it just feels like they're kind of just keeping the pot a little simmering. I say turn up the heat a whole lot more. I want something. They've kept these guys physically apart. No, they have not touched. They've not actually gotten hands on each other, which I think is good. Keep the attraction for the pay-per-view.
Now, has this match been officially set for TakeOver?
It has not been officially made. So Karrion even noted that, you know, whenever I'm here, William Regal isn't around. I noted something. This is just a fan theory, nothing that WrestleZone guy knows, right? They always cut to William Regal to make his general manager rulings on NXT via camera, right? From his home, apparently, right?
Right.
What's always over his shoulder when they do that?
You tell me.
A big grandfather clock.
Kevin's down here playing clear.
Who keeps tapping their wrists saying TikTok all the time? That the time is always coming up, building up anticipation, right? As I've told you, anticipation is the currency of entertainment, and I think it's the number one reason why people like Karrion Kross. He's always going to come out and do something big. They give investment on him showing up and doing something. And I think there's something there. There's a there. And I wait to see what that is. Other people texting and saying,
I like that one, Kevin, because you're just out here playing chess while everybody's playing checkers. I like it.
You're using another fun analogy, aren't you? Other people texting and saying Dakota Kai beating Rhea Ripley thanks to Mercedes Martinez. Kai versus Io Shirai is official for NXT TakeOver. Yes, it is. Rhea versus Mercedes for TakeOver seems to be the other match you're shaping up there. We've seen the cheap interference things that cost people big wins to get to title matches before. It's been done. But in terms of doing that, this one made sense. This is paying off long-term storytelling. Rhea Ripley blowing off Robert Strand and as his manager, only for her to get Mercedes Martinez, the new monster who shows up in NXT, and for that monster to quickly, like a drive-by, like a snap, when the referee just turns his shoulder, doesn't even turn his back, just turns his shoulder, just enough for her to run by on the apron, blast her with a kick, and Dakota Kai to sneak in and get the big victory. And what was a very, very competitive match where it seemed like Rhea Ripley was going to win. Love the new-looking Rhea Ripley with the blonde hair. She gets busted open, blood running down her face, making her look really gritty with that blonde hair. Rhea Ripley needs some fire under her ass. Even if she didn't win the match, this is one of the coolest things she's done since WrestleMania. I'm looking forward to Mercedes Martinez versus Rhea Ripley. Two badass ladies in the ring at TakeOver. This one's going to get made. Robert at ringside, not you, the other Robert. I'm looking forward to this. I like this. Dakota Kai versus Io Shirai. I don't think I'm as interested in this. I think Dakota Kai is a fair, compelling performer, but the heel run hasn't pushed anything over the hoop. You know what I mean? Nothing is super compelling. Stuff with Rhea and Mercedes Martinez, much more compelling for me.
I do think NXT has perpetually been spinning their wheels since the pandemic. I don't get the same vibe. There's a lot of missing puzzle pieces that I wonder, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Gargano,
no Johnny Gargano this week.
No Ciampa for a while.
We have not seen Ciampa in months. We haven't seen Ciampa since In Your House.
This is just WrestleZone guy speaking, not anything we know. There is that Retribution faction on Raw. I think Ciampa would be a great leader for that. I don't want NXT to lose all of their major players, but it's time to crap or get off the pot with some of them. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like it's left NXT a little bare.
All right. Definitely some interesting theories there. Some people texting in, they give NXT an 8. Awesome show. TakeOver is shaping up to be an awesome card. Better than Extreme Rules. See that text here. Other people say I'm ready for SummerSlam. And other some people saying, Big Kev, how impressed are you with the leaps Scarlett has made since she was on Impact? Scarlett is, of course, the manager, the silent managing second character to Karrion Kross. I'll be open about this. I'm rooting for Scarlett because I got to work with Scarlett in AAW before she joined Ring of Honor. I worked with her in the radio world when she was a spokesmodel for the radio station I worked for, 97.9 The Loop. She competed for the honor of being the Loop Rock Girl and then joined me over at QA77. And maybe I want to say it was 7 years ago, we were at the Sears Center and Impact Wrestling was running there. And she was working the event with me. And she's like, I got to get down there. She was already managing people in wrestling. I got to be a part of this event. And it was funny because at All Out, who did I see walking backstage was Scarlett with Karrion Kross. And I was like, hey, kind of funny. 7 years ago, you and I are working the merch table for the radio station. Here I am covering the event, and here you are doing what? And she's like, just talking to people. This was before she signed with WWE. So I'm very, very happy for her.
Fantastic.
She worked really hard for it. I think the pairing with her and Karrion Kross is very special. I think they're bound for some huge things. And the sky isn't even touched just yet with those guys. I'm looking forward to it. You think there's some missing pieces? I don't think so. I think
Karrion Kross.
I think people are really sleeping on a lot of different things that NXT is doing right now. I thought the show was way better than last week. I thought it made me feel more amped up. I thought the crowd was louder. I thought that added to it. They also took the crowd, the trainees, and put them on each side of the ring, which I think makes it more acoustic and makes the sound come into the ring a little bit more. You didn't see people in kind of the foreground of that hardway shot. And I don't know what that was. As the show went on, I really liked that. The pounding on the boards, everything was clicking this week. I liked it. Forward momentum. I think Damian Priest is the right guy to win his triple threat match. Rich Holland, even though he didn't lose, looked really strong. Poor Oney Larkin, though, got pinned. I love Oney. Overall, NXT was a banger show. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. This is a must-watch show, especially for that angle at the end with Pat McAfee and Adam Cole.
I think wrestling tonight was very strong overall. And give them credit, Kevin. Pandemic or not, They give you everything they have, and we can criticize till we're blue in the face.
Like Tanner is texting you and saying WWE books worse than 2001 WCW. We're always going to get the negative comments, but it's fine. I'm open to all of it, guys.
I got to tell you, I could not disagree more. Like, I think, and I don't want to get too far into Raw talk because this is Wednesday night show, but I think people look at trying things and they're just like, Vince Russo booking, WCW failure. It's like, come on. You gotta throw stuff at the wall every now and again, guys. Otherwise, you're just...
Go listen to my post show that I did on Monday. A lot of people checked that out this week, and we talked about Raw Underground. I did that with John Clark, made his debut on the podcast feed. Yesterday, I talked to Dominic D'Angelo. Him and I got into it, as we always do.
Yes, because it's beginning to be very clear that there may not be two people who are more on the opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to...
If you're a common listener to the show, the critique of me is that I am horny for WWE. I'm horny for them. I'm sexually aroused by the universe. If that is true, then Dominic D'Angelo, you are taking the blue chew directly from TNT. All right? So if I'm horny for WWE, all right, you're blue chewing for AEW. All right? Is that a fair comparison? Is that a fair comparison?
And I'm just over here like, hey, I just came to have fun. Everybody be nice.
No, I love Dom. Go check out his interview with Terry Funk, by the way. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show. And I listened to it today. It was a really good discussion. This is like an hour with a guy who's just a certified legend in the business. You got to go listen to this. This is
an hour with a guy who, let's be frank, does not have to give any wrestling site in 2020 an hour of his time. So we're very thankful to Terry Funk for that. Just fantastic stuff.
Other people commenting here specifically about Raw Underground, which is still very much a topic since Monday. It did prove to be slightly successful for WWE, added 100,000 viewers to their overnight numbers, and people saying that they didn't love it, didn't hate it. I think tends to be the general response to it. Robert, what was your take on Raw Underground? I didn't get to talk to you about that yet.
I want to preface this by saying it is my job to watch pro wrestling. So sometimes you're just, I'm using this phrase a lot tonight and I apologize, but you're just spinning your reels watching this stuff. I loved Raw Underground for the simple fact of I knew that I couldn't turn away. Yeah. Because I might miss something. And
and with the new faction, are they going to show up? Are they not? There was a lot of you can't look away, you know?
And at this stage, I don't care if you got to tell me ahead of time and slap me in the face with it. Fine, I don't want to look away. And at the very least, I got that. So did I like Raw Underground? Yeah, I did. There were some elements of Raw Underground that the internet didn't like. They didn't like the go-go dancers. I say, hey, they're not employed. Let them do their thing. You had 12 women on the show doing a great wrestling thing. Let's explore this other audience that hasn't been, tended to in a while.
Throw some Chippendale dudes up there. I don't care if you have a couple of Dirty Dancing Magic Mics.
And let's be real. They can go either way. Why wouldn't you have I know Kenny King's under contract with Ring of Honor, but Kenny King was a Chippendale guy.
Kenny King do it. Kenny King performed, I think, when he performed at a Las Vegas stage show, right? He did like a male review.
He was a Chippendale. No, he was a Chippendale.
Yeah, he was a Chippendales guy. Yeah.
And, absolutely. Get Breezango up there. I don't care. Cater to a different audience. I am all for this. Davikato, a.k.a. Babatunde, is big. A lot of other people aren't. I think that was great. And to end the night with the Hurt Business turning Raw Underground into a cinematic scene from Def Jam Fight for New York from the PlayStation 2, I am down for that. These are three dudes who could legit whoop anybody's ass. I am so down for that. Was it perfect? No. Were there too many camera cuts? Absolutely. But I think it's got some legs, and I want to see where they go with it next week.
I heard some people say it was a big bait and switch to not get this new faction that WWE said was going to make their presence felt. And they did indeed make their presence felt. They just didn't tell you who they were. And people say, oh, that's a bait and switch. You cheated me. I was like, you watch because it's a wrestling angle. Don't take yourself that seriously. All right. It's a wrestling angle, and you got a total angle there. They did a lot of teasing. We've heard a lot of mixed reports about what this group could be called. Now, initially on Monday, public information you can find is copyright information, and WWE copyrighted the term "just us," not "justice," just us. And we're now learning that through several sources that the group will be called Retribution.
No, WWE flat out said.
Yeah. And we were hearing that a little bit before WWE said it themselves. I was about to say that WWE then confirmed, yes, indeed, this group will be called Retribution. There's been a lot of fans digging into the screenshots. All right. That's how, when you have fans taking still frames of a TV show and trying to find hidden things in it, guess what? It's working. It's working. That you did that with shows like Lost. You did that with shows like Twin Peaks. You did that with shows with hidden mystery, and you don't know and you want to know. All right. And everyone says, well, this is bait and switch and you cheat. They got you, dude. They got you. All right. The hook is just in and you don't even know it. All right. And guess what? Reel me in. Reel me in. All right. I want to see everyone. What is the number one angle when people tweet into our show and text our show? Is this going to invade that? All right. People love themselves an invasion, and you're getting one and you're still bitching. Don't make me not bitch. Don't make me not put on my complaining pants. All right. A lot of people don't want to take them complaining pants off, but I say you put on your fun shorts, okay, and let it breathe.
Well said, my man. Let it breathe. Give it some air. It's okay. It's okay to just say, hey, let's see where this is going. Let's see where this is going, guys.
Now, the name Retribution has led a lot of fans to think Retribution, obviously someone coming back for something. They want revenge, right? Nick Batson Texans. When do you see guys? When do you guys see fans coming back? Oh, sorry, I misread this question. We'll get into that. Something else just before we sign off here in a few minutes. But this group Retribution, I do want to say I misread that as I thought that said like who do you guys see coming back in this group? I will say this. There's been a lot of speculation with people digging into the screenshots of who these people were that lit a electric transponder on fire, right? And some people claimed it was Donovan Dijakovic from NXT. Other people tried to claim it was Sarah, formerly of the Riot Squad, WWE, that there was a female in the group. Now they're all hooded, masked figures, all right, trying to burn something down. People trying to claim it's a political group. There are protests. They look like Antifa. It's wrestling Antifa.
I saw this from a few people that you and I know very well.
They're not a faction. They're an anti-faction.
I couldn't help myself. I called them, instead of Antifa, they're anti-Raw. They just
anti-Raw.
I think when WWE bothers to say this is not political, this is strictly for the guidelines of they know what they're getting into.
But I don't blame them for it.
I don't care.
You want to see me get under some people's skin, Robert? If AEW did this, people would think it was brilliant.
It's topical. It's brilliant. I'm not mad at it. They produce first run content. They're the only people producing first run entertainment content, which therefore means they can create engaging stories based on real life happenings before any other program. And yeah, it's real touchy. It's real important. It's real.
Laura is texting and saying they are doing an Aces and Eights thing.
That is not what they're doing. I can assure you, this will not end with Bully Ray marrying Hulk Hogan.
It was me all along.
I did hear a female in the group.
Yes.
I have my picks of who I think it is. I think it's.
Who it is? Come on, lay it out.
I think it's Ali, Alexander, Ricochet, and a couple more people. More people
so
being.
You think it's a couple of people that are actually still on television right now
that are not being utilized.
Okay.
And I would go with Ciampa as the leader, Dijak as the muscle, those other three guys, and I do think that there is a woman there. You know what would be dope? It's Naomi. Can you imagine?
I don't think it's Naomi because they have her on SmackDown enough. I don't think it's Naomi. So who of the women have we not seen on Monday at Raw in quite some time?
I don't know. I think all of their women are being used.
I think Natalya would file into that category. Just in terms of like who's there, right? And is there anyone else who came up from NXT recently who didn't get the spotlight they were supposed to get?
Chelsea has not been seen. So you know what? Chelsea would be a very good one because Chelsea has not been seen.
And I think she's only been used in like enhancement roles, but they did say they brought her up, and we haven't seen her feature.
Bring up Vanessa Bourne? Like Fightful broke this. Sorry, I should know this, but like they brought up Vanessa Bourne.
You save your plugs until the end.
You know, like, but this Sean Brosset broke the story of like.
Why don't you say his name that should not be said?
I'm so sorry, Kevin. I'm triggering Kevin, folks. I didn't mean to. But yeah, like.
Do I have to pay for Fightful Select to get you to stop saying his name on the show?
Yeah, listen. I can neither encourage this, but if you wanted to, then go right ahead. But yeah, Vanessa Bourne got called up supposedly. I know this worked out so well for her father, but do you want to just hot shot The Rock's daughter up to television? Like,
I'm not against it. I like this one. Isam Walker is texting. I love this. Ember Moon. Ember Moon being in the group would be a smart thing.
I would not be amazing. I would be so down for that. Ember Moon has not been seen.
We have not seen Dana Brooke in a long time. Sean is texting that in. That would be a good pick.
I believe she's also on the SmackDown side of things, but you never know.
Some people saying, what about Nia Jax? She just got suspended without pay on Monday.
She
headbutted her makeup into poor Pat Buck's shirt on Monday Night Raw. I don't think it's going to happen. I do think it's going to be more like underutilized talents that are special, right? And that's been such a thing that fans talk about all the time. Like, this guy's talent, they're not doing anything with him. Do something with him. And if they turn that into a storyline angle and say that we're suppressed superstars,
I see it as an extension.
It's a huge thing right now with people in quarantine noticing, hey, I'm not getting what I deserve, and all these circumstances are really bad for everyone. Now it's even worse for me, and I don't deserve that, right? It's a good narrative. People can get into it. People can sink their teeth into that. Now the thing is, who do they go after? Are they going after all of WWE? Because you're making your noise, right? Who do they go after? Are they going after the champions? Are they going after this guy? I don't know. I want to see where it goes. When I would like to see them
invade Raw Underground and beat the crap out of everybody. Like, I think Raw's got a lot of irons in the fire, and I am down for what they're doing.
I'm giving it some time, and I think people kind of just immediately going, like, trying to thumb it down right away. The most controversial thing that Seth Rollins has ever said in his career is the most accurate thing he's ever said in his career. In an interview, the coolest thing in wrestling amongst the cool kids is to make fun of WWE. And to do the memes. And then the memeing and the jokes become, well, I got to keep making fun of WWE even if I'm going to watch it, right? And I got to hate watch it, and I got to do this, and I got to follow what people have already seen me make fun of WWE online, so I can't say I like it, or I can't do this. And the same thing with AEW, like, I already picked a side with it. You don't have to pick a side. You can just watch the wrestling you like and say you like it. And if you don't like it, tell us you didn't like it, and stick around and root for your favorites. Why does it have to be more complicated than that? It doesn't. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
It really is.
Robert, we will return on the podcast tomorrow afternoon. We'll get these NXT AEW numbers. I think AEW will still have the edge on them, though I think it will be competitive. And we'll find out what those numbers are tomorrow afternoon. We'll have a show for you later on there as well. And of course, I will have some special content coming up next week for you. We are working on some fun things to do before SummerSlam. And definitely keep an eye on the podcast feed. We have those special interviews popping up. A lot for you to devour there. Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, big stars from Impact Wrestling, AEW, and beyond for you guys to interview, and so much more. I think I may. Robert, you still there? I thought for a second you were very still, so I thought maybe I lost you for a second.
I'm still here.
You got to keep moving. So I know you're still with me.
I'm alive. The internet's still working. We're still good.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep busy with that. Give me a follow at Kev Kellum on the Twitter machine. At Kev Kellum on the Twitter machine. If you haven't done it yet, definitely subscribe to the podcast WrestleZone on Apple, on Spotify, all that good stuff. And if you do that, give it a review too. Give it a review. Robert, now you can do your plugs.
I'm busy, always in the world of wrestling. SmartGuyMoment.com. We just did an entire podcast today about Raw Underground and what we think can happen. I'll spoil something. I want to see Baron Corbin get drafted to Raw and just beat people up in the Underground pit. I'm also doing the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast. I also work news WrestleZone Tuesday through Friday. I work news on Fightful Friday through Sunday. I may be on some other wrestling podcasts. Who knows? You're always...
Wait, another one? Another one, Robert?
Yeah.
Which one? Let's just say it now. Come on now.
I won't say anything until anything is...
You're on 2 other shows here, Robert, okay? You were pushing it with me, being on 2 other shows.
I'm just spreading myself thin, Kev. You know?
Okay, what show is it? Say it now.
I'm not going to say
under my skin tonight. You were really pushing here.
I'm not going to say anything until it's confirmed because I'm a professional and I don't want to falsely advertise.
You're a professional? You're a professional doing your plug before you got to your plug segment? You're a professional ad?
Yeah, it's called tying things together, Kevin. It's called adding extra context to the discussion we were having. Kevin, as a great man once said, context is king. And we may have an interview with that man coming up on this very podcast. So stay tuned to that feed.
You're ridiculous. You are just ridiculous. You can check me out as well on air on 101 WKQX. I'll be on a Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning this weekend. You can listen to it anywhere in the world on your smart speaker. Just say enable the 101 WKQX skill. We're also available on your phones, on iHeartRadio, on TuneIn, and of course our own app. We're giving away $1,000. That's right. Every single week, we're giving away $1,000, a national contest brought to us by the great people at Wintrust. And you can go check that out at 101WKQX.com. You can read my blog there. I talk about a bunch of different things that aren't wrestling. I recently did something, Robert. We're in these pandemic times. We go on long walks. We get really introspective and emo. I did the top 10 patient songs in our pandemic, songs that can help you be patient and get through the pandemic so we can get to the good times on the other side of this thing. That playlist is up now at 101WKQX.com. And so thank you guys so much for supporting the show. I know we have technical issues and all these different things. The pandemic has definitely been challenging. Other things I've had to invest into in the show and different stuff like that. I'm just thankful of you guys. I really, really am. We've been on air for nearly 70 minutes today. We did a show for over an hour and 20 minutes. To ask people to give you that much time, not just one day a week, but several days a week, is a lot. And if you're still with us now, man, I love you. I really do mean that. I really do appreciate you guys. And hopefully when this thing is done, you guys make the big road trip out to a WrestleMania. We can do some really fun things and meet up and have a couple of beers. And I would love to see what Robert's like after a couple pops. See how much he's kissing Fightful ass then, huh? So
let's just get through this COVID shit. Like, let's get through it, and then we can have all the fun in the world.
The funny thing, I had me and Dominic were chatting the other day about how we worked StarCast, a big wrestling convention, right? And we were there for 4 days, and we just kept saying at the beginning, we gotta have one night where we really let loose. And there was this one night where we bought some beers, and then something came up, and we had to cover it. We were working on it, and we were like, it's 11:45. We've been on our feet since 9 a.m. following wrestling stuff. I don't want to drink. We were just like, oh, we don't have enough energy to party at our pro wrestling job, and we were just like making fun of each other for it. But the party will be worth it, and
the party will be worth it as long as you stay safe, wear masks,
and most important,
distance.
And most important,
wash your hands. Hold on. What else do we need
I would
to
actually
do?
say it's the least important thing. The sign-off is the least important thing of all the things you need to
That's
lay
where
down.
you're wrong, because at the end of the day, this thing still exists. So don't be a bitter old crab about it. There's enough bad in the world. So just shut up, watch wrestling, eat popcorn, drink your soda, drink your beer, whatever you want. Just make sure you enjoy